Good morning, friends. Today I'm going to make some refrigerator pickles, and I'm going to start with cutting up my cucumber. That's the first thing we're going to do. This is cleaned up, and I had sent my son into the store to get me a few cucumbers, and he brought these out, and they were wrapped in plastic. I think they're called New England cucumbers. They're like garden cucumbers, as opposed to pickling cucumbers. So anyway, we're going to use these. I think they'll be just fine. I'm going to just start by cutting that big old sucker in half first of all. And also, I'm going to leave the peel on. I'm going to cut them pretty thin, but I've seen people, and I've actually done this before, where you run a fork down and it makes it kind of fancy looking. Let me grab a fork. You can kind of grab a fork and just run it down, and it gives it ridges. Let me see if I can show you when I make a slice here. Anyway, my Uncle Tim has passed on. He's an angel now. He loved these pickles, and I loved making them for him. He said it reminded him of either his grandmother or his mama's pickles. I can't remember what he told me, but God love him. So anyway, you kind of do that with your fork. I made that probably a little too thin. And you see the pretty ridges. It just makes it really pretty. But so we're going to go ahead and just cut these pretty thin. I'm trying to cut them really thin. We're going to cut these up, put them in the strainer. And this recipe also takes onions, and it also takes red bell pepper. And we'll slice those also. So let me get these sliced up. I won't bore you with the cutting. I'll be right back. I wanted to show you also that I have this slicer here. You just switch out the plates. This is to thin slices. This sucker right here though, man, you have to watch your fingers. I'm telling you, that thing will cut you. It has a little thing that you can put on top of here that is supposed to hold on to it. But if you want some perfect slices, this right here is the way to go. Look at those. I mean, they're just perfect. As a matter of fact, I've already got this thing dirty. I'm just going to finish it out. This literally took me half the time to cut these things. I should have broke it out in the first place. So this is what I have left here of the ends. There were 2 of those big cucumbers, and I'd say my colander is about halfway full here. I think that gave us quite a bit of cucumbers. I already cut up my cucumber, but really what I should have been doing first is measuring out my vinegar and the spices and things that go in here. So that's what I should have been doing first, because we're going to bring it to a boil and then let it cool down for about an hour before we pour it over the cucumbers and the onions and the peppers. So that calls for 1 cup of vinegar, 2 cups of sugar, regular white C&H or whatever brand you use sugar, those cucumbers ended up making 8 cups of cucumber, thinly sliced with the peel on. So I have 1 cup of vinegar, 2 cups of sugar, and people also call this cucumber salad in a jar. I call it refrigerator pickles. And actually, it seems like the last time I made them, I used cider vinegar, but you know what? This will be just fine. And if this is enough for however many jars I have, I'll just make up another batch. Or have cucumber salad or whatever. So this is going to be, this also calls for a teaspoon of celery seed. So there's a teaspoon of celery seed. Teaspoon of mustard seed. Okay. Now then, while that's heating up, and like I said, once it comes to a boil, then we will turn it off, remove it from the heat, and let it cool down for about an hour before we pour it over our jars of cucumbers. Forgot the salt. Oh, 1 tablespoon of salt. That seems like a lot, but anyway, it'll be just fine. It's kind of sweet and salty. 1 tablespoon of salt. And I use pink salt. So we'll, oh, it's already boiling. Alright, I'm going to remove that from the heat. Excuse me. And we'll let that set while we go do our other work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting up this, actually slicing up this red pepper. Let's see how it's going here. Yeah, those look pretty good. And I'll cut those into smaller pieces. This is almost a whole pepper. I cut the top off to put some in my pasta salad last night. And so anyway, this is probably going to be just the perfect amount. Watch those fingers with this thing. Whoop. Okay, it's not going to do it. There we go. I'm going to kind of give these a rough cut here. Yeah, throw those into the cucumbers here. He told me he would just eat all of it out of there. The onion, just pick the onions out and eat those. And let's start on the onions. Okay, here goes the onion. Hey, that works pretty good on there. And this is a Vidalia onion, and I'm sure you can use whatever onion you have. I just bought these, a 10-pound bag off of a guy on the side of the road for a good cause, so. And they'll get used. And then there's those. I'm going to give those a rough chop also. Okay. I want them to be in slices, kind of like this big. So that's about all I'm going to do for that. And you know, I think it calls for like a half a cup of onions for the recipe if you follow recipes. Half a cup of onion and a half a cup of pepper. About 8 cups of sliced cucumbers. Just mix those up. Oh, that is just beautiful, let me tell you. Look at that. I wanted to show you that this is what I use here. I've had this thing for years. Just wanted to show you the brand. They're not, you know, paying me to advertise or anything like that, but I thought, you know, if anybody was curious of what I used, pretty sure it was fairly inexpensive, but man, it's just really been handy. Okay, I'm going to start with about 5 jars here. I'm notorious for saving all my jars. I don't know about you guys, but I am, and I'm going to go ahead and fill these first. So let's start with these smaller. There's a bigger one here, but these are, you know, about pint. These two are probably about pint size. That might be just a little bit more, but that's okay. So let's just toss these in here. Yeah, so there's one. I might cram that a little bit more full. In the end, I will. There's 2. Try to get onion and pepper in all of them. Look at that big baby. Yum, yum. That looks so pretty. Okay. Let's see, yep, I don't think that's going to fill up a whole nother pint, what I have left here. So, I might just go ahead and cram the rest of these full. Just a little bit left here. Every little drop is going in. Okay, so that filled up a couple, about 3 pints here. So 3.5 pints. It could have probably been 5 pints total. But so we have this little bit taller one and then the 3 here. Aren't those pretty? And they're gonna taste so good, and they'll last in your refrigerator for up to 2 months. So they don't usually last that long, but they will last for 2 months. I went ahead and poured the brine into this plastic measuring cup here. For one, I wanted it to, it was already, you know, cooled down. It's not like super duper hot or anything, but I wanted it to cool down faster, and I think it'll be easier to pour out of this measuring cup. So I got my rubber spatula and scraped out every single bit of all that goodness, the seeds that are, you know, end up stuck on the sides and things like that. I just scraped it all off, so it's all in there, and it's cooling down quickly, so not too long we'll fill those up. This one here is going to a friend of mine's house up the road. Hi, Lori. So I want to make sure this one gets filled up first. That looks so good. I might have to make some more brine, which is absolutely no big deal. This is so simple. I think that's good for hers. All right, let me pour some in here. I knew in my heart of hearts I should have just doubled that. There we go. Alright, so then, you know, you'll just put the lids on and stick them in the refrigerator. Like I said, that'll last you up to 2 months. Sometimes I like turn them upside down to kind of get them mixed up, and you know, flip them back and forth when they're in my fridge. Of course, making sure the lid's on super tight, because that brine is very sticky from that sugar. Well, okay, so I doubled up on the brine. So per 8 cups of cucumbers, go ahead and double the brine, which would be 2 cups of vinegar and 4 cups of sugar. And I forgot to also add, just to kind of give this a little poke in here, get the air bubbles out, and then you might be able to cram some more cucumbers in there and onions and peppers. And so anyway, there you have it. You might have just a little bit of that brine left, like I said, but there you go. Aren't those so pretty, guys? This one here is floating up a little bit, but once those cucumbers and the pepper and onions soak up the vinegar and spices and things, then they'll settle down. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was fun making them, and it's easy and inexpensive. I mean, I hope you give it a try. They're so good in the summertime when you come in and they're ice cold, and they're kind of sweet and salty. And I mean, not necessarily even salty. I guess just the onion kind of gives it that great flavor, and the pepper, and then that sugar gives it the sweetness. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't yet already. Have a great day. Bye-bye.